What's going on, guys? Today I wanted to talk about a really cool tech card in Xyz Infernity in 2014 H.A.T format, and that is Black Garden. Now, this is not going to be a deck profile, it's going to be more of a discussion on the synergies and the cool ways that Infernity can really take advantage of Black Garden in a lot of ways that a lot of people might not have thought about. So if you guys are looking for an Infernity deck profile, I do have a deck profile on my channel that I'll have linked in the description. Definitely go and check that out. In that profile, I don't mention Black Garden, and I'll explain why that is later on in this video. So if you need a deck profile, go back, check that out. If you want to hear about why Black Garden is a really cool card in Infernity, stick around and let's get straight into it. Now, Black Garden has a lot of uses in a lot of other decks in H.A.T format, such as Madolche or some of the synchro heavy decks that special summon a lot, specifically because they special summon a lot. So for this specifically, though, obviously Infernity has a lot of more interesting, more kind of meta-type synergies that the other decks don't quite have, just because of some of their built-in cards in archetype and that they specifically play. So first, starting off, if you've never seen Black Garden before, I'll pull it up here so we can read it so you can be familiar with the effect. It says, if a monsters is normal or special summon, except by the effect of Black Garden, have its attack. Also, you can special summon one rose token with plant type dark, level 2, 800 attack, 800 defense, to its controller's opponent's side of the field in attack position, and the attack change remains even if this card leaves the field. That's the first part of the effect. So basically what it's saying is if I control, or if I summon a monster, my opponent will get one of these tokens and my monster's attack will be halved, and vice versa. If they summon, then their monster's attack is halved and I will get a token. The second part of the effect is you can target one monster in your graveyard with attack equal to the total attack of all plant-type monsters on the field. Destroy this card and as many plant-type monsters on the field as possible. Then, if the total attack of the destroyed monsters had on the field is equal to the target's attack, special summon that target. Now, that can be a little confusing, so what that means is pretty much if there's one token on the field, I can target a monster in my graveyard with 800 attack, because again, the tokens are 800. I can destroy Black Garden, destroy the one token, and summon that monster back that has 800 attack. If there's two tokens, I can target a monster in my grave with 1600 attack, destroy this and the two tokens, and summon that monster, and so on and so forth in multiples of 800. Now, this also is going to destroy all the plant monsters on the field. So that means whether I control the token or my opponent, as long as the attack adds up, it will even out really well. So now, why does this work with Infernity? So as I mentioned, Infernity is a very, very combo-heavy deck, meaning it special summons a lot. Now, the thing with Black Garden is you can main it, but what I would suggest if you are going to play this tech card is to play it when you know you're going first. So for example, siding this card for games 2 and 3, if say you lost game 1, you can put this in for game 2 knowing you're going first, or if you won game 1, obviously if you lose game 2, game 3 you can put it in going first, but it does have its implications, if you wanted to main deck it as well. So getting into this, Infernity is a very combo-heavy deck. Most of their 2-card combos can summon 4, 5, 6 plus times. So Black Garden has a couple utilities. If you activate Black Garden and then have one of those 2 or 3 card combos where you can summon tons of times, basically what you're doing is going through your full combo, and at the same time, you're clogging all of your opponent's monster zones because you're summoning 5 plus times. So with that, pretty much, your opponent will have no zones to summon their monsters in, so they're going to have to rely on their back row to actually clear your board, or they're going to have to go into battle phase, crash some of those tokens into your monsters, and then go main phase 2 in order to actually go and be able to perform their plays. Even if it's as simple as them normal summoning something like a Mermail, they're going to have to crash at least one token. Obviously, they could tribute summon over the tokens, but usually in those cases, it's going to be something like a Madolche or something, and it's not going to have high implication on the state of the board, really, especially since you'll only have one normal summon. Obviously, if they have something that requires 2 normal summons, that might clear it up, but for most plays making like a rank 4, you're going to need at least 2 zones, or, Xyz summoning in general, you're going to need multiple zones. So Black Garden fills those up. So in some ways, it acts as a turn skip because you're guaranteed having one more turn, as well as I mentioned, they're going to take a bit of damage and they're going to have to crash those in. Now let's go one layer deeper. Infernity's combo, while it's comboing, it's doing more than just putting some monsters on board. It will be summoning, a lot of Infernity Archfiends and searching a lot of your things. So some of the cards that Infernity search, obviously, are cards like Infernity Break or Infernity Barrier. And the main Infernity combo is going to search anywhere from 2 to 3 Infernity Break and the Barrier. So now after you've searched, whether it's your different copies of these 2 cards, that will now add a whole nother level of playthrough that the opponent is going to have to deal with just to out that board. The one spell card that could potentially out it is Dark Hole, which obviously will clear all the monsters, but at the same time, that's a one of, so they have to open the one of, and at the same time, on top of that, they're going to have to deal with Barrier just negating it. So they would have to have another card that would specifically out that. Now, obviously, Spiritualism is a card that is sided against Infernity, but at the same time, not everyone's playing that, more so MSTs and things. So they would need minimally MST plus Dark Hole, which isn't necessarily uncommon, but it's, again, they have to open the one of and be able to, have a second card. So that if bare minimum, it's made them waste 2 cards, and you will still have your 2 to 3 Infernity Breaks as interruption. Now that's like saying the extreme. Let's say they don't have those. Again, now they're in this position where even if they go to crash their monsters to free up a couple zones or something, you still have interruptions in the form of Barrier and Break, being an Omni Negate in Barrier, and Break being able to pop multiple of their cards so they can't even break through the board. So Infernity, for that reason, takes really, really good use of that. The next thing is what happens if, say, you decided to play Black Garden in the main and you're going second. Now, it also, again, because it has that ability to spam the opponent's board with tokens and things, and since Infernity has so many ways to combo off before even needing to get into their searches and other things, what you're able to do is special summon a handful of times. One card that really makes this combo a little easier is Diamond Direwolf. Usually, I've mentioned this in other videos, this card will be able to pop your own cards in order to clear your zones so that you can keep comboing in this deck, but you'll be able to go into Diamond Direwolf clearing itself, which would take, 2 level 4s to clear your opponent's cards, and even after that, if you get low enough in cards, you're able to make H.A.T because Black Garden will guarantee on top of what cards your opponent started their turn and things with, you'll be able to fill their board with tokens, usually putting them more card advantage over you. So then you can go and make H.A.T, as I mentioned, and just blow up their whole board, and say you have Soul Charge as a follow-up on top of that. Usually at that point, you're going to be able to fully combo through their boards because you just cleared the whole board, and now, you can just set up and do your own thing. The other thing to mention that I almost forgot with going first with Black Garden, a lot of your end boards will also end on Master Key Beetle protecting your barrier. So even if they have MST for the barrier, Key Beetle is going to make so that card can't be destroyed while this card's on the field. So that means at that point, they're going to have to try to out the Key Beetle before they would even use that Dark Hole or anything. So that's another key point with Black Garden and Infernity. Now, I've talked about the effect when monsters are summoned to summon those tokens. Now, what happens with the second effect? Being able to summon things back that have the multiples of the tokens. So, to go over a couple cards that can really take advantage of that, let's go here and talk about Summoner Monk. Summoner Monk's stats are 816. Importantly, the attack is 800, meaning if you summon something like a Armageddon Knight with Black Garden on the field and dump a Summoner Monk, your opponent will get a token because you summoned, and it's one token on the field. That's 800 attack. You can Black Garden pop itself and summon the Summoner Monk back from graveyard. So it acts as an extender. Now say you don't want Summoner Monk. Tin Goldfish as well. 800. It's another card that if in grave, you're able to go and summon back with Black Garden off of just one summon. Now there's also monsters that can gain from having 2 tokens on the field. For example, Dinotherium has 1600 attack. So if there's 2 tokens with Black Garden, you can destroy it and do that. Or Stygian Street Patrol, another very common card to have in your graveyard. 1600. It can act as extenders for the Black Garden's secondary effect, which is extremely cool. Now let's talk worst case scenario. You have Black Garden, but you don't have a ton of combo pieces. Going back to Summoner Monk, it discards a spell. So at bare minimum, you can discard the Black Garden for the Summoner Monk effect and just do your normal Infernity plays. There's literally no downside to Black Garden, except for obviously it can be bad against things like Max C. Even with the summoning with this, sometimes that will bait your opponent's DD Crows if, say, you did the Armageddon play or Greffer play to get the Summoner Monk in graveyard and then try to summon it back. And at that point, you know, if you still have extenders like Instant Fusion or any other card that can just free special itself, you can still combo off and you're completely fine. And I did mention at the beginning that this does work with other decks because, for example, Madolche can take advantage of it because they're able to combo a bunch, making your opponent's zones completely filled up. And then on top of that, they're able to then, you know, your opponent sets some back row if they don't really want to play into it too much. And then you can tiramisu away all their back row by shuffling it and stuff. So the card Black Garden in general has so many cool uses. Like I said, I would probably side these over the option of main decking them, though you can definitely try it. And there's even more uses that I probably just am not getting to at this moment. But test around with it. It is extremely cool. I'm working on some gameplay to actually show this off in action a little more. The one thing with me is I prefer like IRL duels versus online. I just, you know, since I own all the cards, I prefer to just, you know, get some use out of them. But having the time with some friends and stuff to actually sit down and record with their schedule and my schedule and everything can be a little difficult. But for all the people who have been asking for gameplay in general, that is coming very soon, so I'm extremely excited for that. Just bear with me. And anyways, let me know what you guys think of Black Garden in Infernity. I would love to hear your guys' opinions. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you're subscribed, hitting the like and stuff, and sharing the videos with your friends. And anyways, guys, I will see you in the next video.